So today we'll be talking about the New York Jets and what should they do with that second overall pick. Now, having the second overall pick, it's a big deal. I know they missed out on Trevor Lawrence. It sucks. That would have been nice if it would have made the decision a lot easier. But I've heard plenty of opinions out there, from keeping Sam Darnold all the way to trading for a superstar quarterback like a Deshaun Watson. Of course, you can go through the draft and get a Zach Wilson, get a Justin Fields, maybe a Trey Lance or Mac Jones. I doubt that, but there's a lot of opinions out there. I've heard plenty of them, and I want to put my opinion out there. I feel like the Jets are in a really good spot right now where they have a lot of draft picks. They have a lot of cap space. If they build this thing the right way, the Jets can be a competitive football team by 2022, just a year down the line. So we'll find out what they do in April, but I want to put my opinion out there. Leave in the comments what you would do if you were the Jets GM and what you think they should do. I'll give my opinion. Both of you guys enjoy this video. Leave a like and subscribe if you do, and let's get into it. So I was going to beat around the bush, but I might as well just come out and say what I want the Jets to do. If I were them, I would take Zach Wilson, second overall quarterback out of BYU. When I look at him, I just think he's more of honestly, just a more athletic Baker Mayfield. And I was a huge Baker Mayfield guy coming out. He was my top quarterback in 2018. And I was like, if you can get a more athletic version of him, he might be more accurate too, which is scary. Might have a better arm. I mean, Baker has a very good arm. They might be equal, but he might be a bit more accurate. I think he's a bit faster, more athletic. I just think Zach Wilson in this, Mike LaFleur scheme, I think it could be a very, very good fit for him. I think if they run that offense similar to what Shanahan does in San Francisco, it's a very good fit for a guy like Zach Wilson and his skill set. We'll find out what they do, but if it were up to me, I'm going Zach Wilson, and here's why. So the trading the assets part. If you're the Jets, you now hold the second overall pick. I have it somewhere. Second overall pick, the 23rd overall pick in this year's draft from Seattle, the 34th overall pick, which is their own, 66 in the third round, and 87. And of course, next year you have your own first round pick and Seattle's once again. So the Jets have plenty of assets. And if you're the Jets, this is why I said you can legitimately turn this thing around in just 2 off seasons. This one and the next one. You can be competing by 2022. Now, if they were to trade for Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, someone like that, you kind of just set yourself back in a way. I know having a great quarterback and a top 5 quarterback makes you a much better football team, but the point is, and we'll get into that later, is you can't really build around those guys when you don't have the draft picks. A lot of when you're paying a quarterback $45 million per year, you have to have young talent on that roster. You have to draft well, and if you don't have the high draft picks, it's going to make Joe Douglas' job a lot harder because he'll have to hit on 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round picks instead of hitting on guys in the 1st and 2nd round. So it's easier just keeping your draft picks. If you take Zach Wilson, you still have pick number 23, whatever it was. I think it was 23 this year. You still have the Seahawks pick next year. You still have your own pick next year. So you get to keep all your picks, plus take a quarterback that maybe could be as good as Deshaun Watson. I don't think so, but I still like Zach Wilson a lot, so we'll find out. So building through the draft. I think for rebuilding teams, it's essential to build through the draft. If you make a trade like this for Deshaun Watson, you're basically going all in. You're not trading for Deshaun Watson to extend the rebuild. You're just saying, if I trade for a top 5 quarterback in the league, we're going all in this year. This is not just a plan for the future. I know Deshaun Watson's only 25 years old, but I'm sure Deshaun Watson wants to win. That's probably part of the reason he wants out of there. I know they, I don't want to say stab him in the back. They kind of did, honestly. They were not truthful with him in Houston, but at the same time, Deshaun Watson probably wants to win. If they just won a Super Bowl in Houston, he probably would not want to leave, honestly. So I'm sure winning has a lot to do with it. So what kind of roster can you put around the quarterback when you trade all those draft picks and assets for him? That's another thing you have to think about as well. The rookie contract advantage. So we see it a lot now in recent years. Teams with teams with quarterbacks on rookie deals have a very, very big advantage in this league, whether you talk about the Baltimore Ravens and the amount of trades and signings they've been able to pull off with Lamar Jackson being the 32nd overall pick. You look at teams like even Seattle with Russell Wilson. Seattle had a Super Bowl contending team when Russell Wilson was on his 3rd round rookie deal, whatever it was, back in 2012. So that's another one. There's examples everywhere. The Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes the last few years has been on a rookie deal. So there's a lot of examples of quarterbacks, and even Baker Mayfield for the Browns was on a rookie deal. They have a lot of talent around him in Cleveland. When you have this rookie contract for a quarterback, it gives you the ability, especially for the Jets who have a lot of cap space. I think it's the 2nd most in the league or 3rd most in the league this offseason. They can have the ability to take Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, whoever it may be, and build around those guys. Imagine if you draft a Zach Wilson and also sign an Allen Robinson, or you sign a Kenny Golladay, and you sign some pieces on defense, like you sign I don't know who it would be, like a Yannick Ngakoue, a Shaq Barrett, or someone like that, William Jackson from the Bengals. Like they would have the money to go out and make those moves. So if you are paying a quarterback $40-45 million once again, you now limit yourself, and you won't be able to pay 2, 3, 4 other players the money you would want. It kind of gives you a better overall roster than just paying your quarterback. Of course, if Zach Wilson or Justin Fields turns out great one day, you'll have to pay them the $40-45 million per year, but that's 5-6 years down the line. Don't worry about that right now. So the team around the star quarterback, I was just mentioning that before. The Jets just came off a 2-14 season. Now, I know they traded Jamal Adams. He's not coming back. I know C.J. Mosley's coming back from the COVID list thing from last year, missing the entire season. But the Jets are not gaining much talent this year. It's going to be a lot of they can definitely have a good free agency. They could have a good draft. But once again, if you trade for this star quarterback, you all of a sudden don't have your first, you're probably not going to have any first-round picks this year if you trade for Watson. It's going to take the second overall pick, the 23rd overall pick, and maybe even 2 firsts next year. I have no idea how much it would cost. I'm assuming a lot. So you're not going to have these high draft picks to build around this quarterback. If Deshaun Watson signs, maybe it attracts a guy like an Allen Robinson. I think Allen Robinson has been liking some tweets from Deshaun Watson and things like that, so it's definitely a possibility. But then again, that's just one guy. And if you now pay Allen Robinson $20 million per year, you paid Deshaun Watson $40-45 million per year, how much more can you spend on the defense and the rest of the offensive line? Like, that could be an issue. So I think it makes the most sense to try and take a shot on a young quarterback. I know it's not a sure thing, and the draft is a crapshoot, but I trust Joe Douglas. I think he's been a good GM so far. His rookie class from last year had some good returns. I think Mekhi Becton's obviously going to be great if he's healthy. Denzel Mims missed time, but he looked pretty legit when he was in there. I liked Bryce Hall. Their punter, I think, is Braden Mann. He was pretty good as like a 6th-round pick or something. So he had a pretty good first draft class. Some misses in there, it looks like. I think the Florida guy, the pass rusher, I think it was Zuniga. I don't know if it was Jabari Zuniga or some other guy. I forget who it is, but he wasn't that great. So, yeah, I mean, that might be a problem. But for the most part, Joe Douglas had a good first draft. And if they can do it once again with 2 first-round picks, basically, I think it's 5 picks in the first 3 rounds, the Jets once again can find themselves in a, not a playoff contending team next year, but by 2022. So now into the final part, the potential Sam Darnold trade. So what would a potential Sam Darnold trade look like? So I made a video about, 3 weeks ago or something like that, and I basically said Sam Darnold to the Washington football team would make a lot of sense. Now, how much would it cost? I think the Jets can get a 2nd-round pick. I mean, maybe that's being a bit generous. And, I guess if you're going to get a 1st-round pick for Carson Wentz, maybe you can pull it off for Sam Darnold. I don't think so. But I think a 2nd-round pick and like a 5th-rounder or a 2nd and a 6th-rounder, I think it's possible for a guy like Sam Darnold. And if I'm the Jets, I'm doing that. Like, I think if I can get a 2nd-round pick and a later-round pick, or even just a 2nd-round pick, I think I'm doing that, because Sam Darnold, I don't look at him as the future. I think Sam Darnold's talented, but I think just him in New York's not going to work out. It is what it is. Sometimes just certain draft picks don't work out in certain locations. Like another in-division example is Ryan Tannehill. I know that a lot of that's Adam Gase, and Sam Darnold kind of felt the Adam Gase thing as well the last couple of years, but I just don't ever envision Sam Darnold working out for the Jets. And I just feel like the Jets, once again, with the whole rookie contract thing, let's say Sam Darnold just balls out next year and is great. Well, now Sam Darnold's going to be making $30+ million a year. And instead, you're going to have Zach Wilson or Justin Fields on a rookie contract for the next 4 or 5 years, rather than paying Sam Darnold if he has a really good year in 2021. So that's another thing to think about. So I do think they can get a 2nd-round pick back. Not exactly sure, but that's where I think I think they can get that. I'm not positive, but I think they can get that from a team, because there's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. I mean, they're not going to trade with the Patriots, of course, but the Colts, the Bears, I just mentioned Washington. Like, there's teams out there that need quarterbacks. Even the 49ers, that would be an interesting one. So, yeah, there's definitely options out there. But once again, leave in the comments what you would do if you were the Jets. I definitely think they would be better off going with Zach Wilson and building through the draft. If you trust Joe Douglas and think he can build through the draft, and he is a good GM actually, then I think the Jets are pretty set up. I really do. I don't want to be like, sound like a Jets fan here, because I am a Giants fan, but I do like the way the Jets are building this thing. I think if they get it right and get draft picks that work out, I'm not saying hit on all, hit on every single draft pick, but if they have like 3 hits in the first, let's say they draft 3 good players of the first 5 picks this year in the first 3 rounds, then all of a sudden you're looking pretty damn good. So if you get Zach Wilson playing well, you get a guy at 23 who plays well, you get a guy in the 3rd round or 2nd round that plays well, you get 3 or 4 guys from this class that are already impact players, and the Jets have the picks to do it. So I think it's very possible. We'll find out what they do. Leave in the comments what you think the Jets should do. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.